Welcome to Pattern and Craft. I'm Courtney, and in today's video I'm going to demonstrate how to make this beautiful crochet snowflake. I will also have tutorials for this one, and I will include the links in the description of this video. If you notice, all three of these have the same center, this little star, and that is created with the first two rounds, which is the same for all three. And the following rounds are a little bit different so that you get a different shape and size. I will be releasing this as a single pattern that you can purchase. Of course, you can watch the videos for free, and I will do a video on each of the designs, and there will be a link in the description. I will release all the videos at the same time, so if you finish this video and want to try one of the others, it will already be available for you. Also, if you've already watched one of the other videos for a different snowflake and you've already memorized the first two rounds and don't need to see those again, then you can jump ahead to this timestamp. To make this, I'll be using a 3.5mm or size E crochet hook, and I'll be using Cotton Fair yarn. This is my favorite yarn for making these snowflakes. It is a cotton acrylic blend, a number 2 fine yarn. I like it because it has good stitch definition, and it's also a little lighter than cotton would be. Acrylic's a little bit lighter. Cotton has good structure, and the combo of the two is a nice blend for making these snowflakes. But go ahead and use any similar yarn that you prefer. This is a great little project for using up leftovers, and they make great holiday decorations. Here you can see that I have them chained together to form a little garland. And of course, you could make this as large or as long as you want. I mostly tend to use them for Christmas tree ornaments, and I also include them with my holiday cards. When I send my Christmas cards out, I'll just tuck one of these inside. They're light enough and small enough to fit inside a standard greeting card. You could also use these to jazz up a gift bag or a wrapped package. You can adorn a window. So I'm going to show you how to make these. They're really fun. They come together quickly, and they make a great winter decoration and a great last minute gift. Here is the pattern chart for Snowflake C, and that is the one we'll be making today. If you don't like to follow pattern charts, that's fine. Just follow along with the steps, or you can get the written pattern, which has everything written out. I just like to include a chart in my patterns and refer to it in my videos sometimes because it gives you a visual of what we're going to be doing. So for this one, we're going to do that first two rounds that all of three of the snowflakes share. So we're going to create a magic circle first, then we're going to chain one, and the first round will be a single crochet, chain two, and then repeat that around. Single crochet, chain two, single crochet, chain two, single crochet, chain two, until we have 6 single crochets, each separated by a chain two. This first little chain one is just a starting point. You don't need to count it as a stitch. So I'll go ahead and demo that, and then we will return to the pattern chart to see what we do next. All right, to get started, we need to create a magic ring. If you do not like making a magic ring, you can use any other center ring start that you prefer. I'm going to demo the magic ring. I like to hold the cut end of my yarn with these 2 fingers and then put my other fingers this way, and I wrap the working yarn over, behind, and over again to create an X, and I hold the yarn with my thumb, and then I go under the top right leg, over the top left leg, and I pull that leg through and twist, and then yarn over, reposition while I hold everything with my index finger and pull that loop through. That creates a chain one that also secures my magic ring. I can take this tail and I can pull on it to make the ring any size that I want. And I'm just going to leave it about that big to work into for the first round. All right, we're ready to go. We have our magic ring. We have a chain one, and it's time to do round one, which is single crochet into the ring and chain two. 1, 2. We're going to repeat that 5 more times for a total of 6. So single crochet into the ring, chain 2, 1 and 2, single crochet into the ring, chain 2, 1, 2, single crochet, chain 2. And we're going to do that till we have 6 single crochets, each separated by a chain 2 and ending with a chain 2. I'm going to double check because I lost count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, so I need one more. Single crochet, chain 2, 1, 2. Okay, that's all the stitches we need for round 1, and now we can pull this ring tight by pulling on the tail here, and that just cinches all of that tight and closed. And we do want to close the round by going back into this first single crochet of the round here, and we're going to insert our hook and make a slip stitch into that first single crochet there that we started the round with, and just pull up a loop and pull through for a slip stitch, and that secures the first round. And it does look sort of like a little hexagon. Each of these points is where we did our chain 2, and each of these valleys is where we have a single crochet. So there should be 6 points of our little hexagon here for round 1. Okay, we finished round 1. Now it's time for round 2. And you can see that round 2 is in a slightly darker ink color. I did that so you can see which round is which and differentiate them from each other. So now we're on round 2. We're going to slip stitch into this corner chain space because we initially slip stitched into this stitch here, the single crochet, but we want to work from the chain space. So we're going to slip stitch into the chain space there of round 1, and we're going to create the first leg of this double crochet 2 together. It's just 2 double crochet stitches joined at the top into 1 stitch, but because we're working from the bottom for this very first one, we need to chain up. So we're just going to do a chain 2 to represent that first half of this stitch. Then we're going to make the other half of the double crochet 2 together into the next chain space over. So we start from this one and then finish in the next one over. Then we're going to chain 5, and then we're going to create another double crochet 2 together. This one we're starting from the top as normal, so we will make the first leg of that stitch back into the same chain space that we just worked into, and then the next leg in the next chain space over. Chain 5 and repeat all the way around. Okay, I'll go ahead and demo that. This is the first 2 rounds that you'll need for all 3 snowflakes, and then I'll go ahead and show you what we're doing for the 2 following rounds for this snowflake, for snowflake C. All right, for round 2, we want to work from this chain space here. Right now we're in one of the valleys, so we want to do a slip stitch into that little corner chain space there. And that gets us set up for starting round 2. And in round 2, we're doing double crochet 2 together with chains in between. So for the first leg of our first double crochet 2 together, we need to chain 2 because we're working from the bottom. Then we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the next point over, the next chain space. To make the second half of that stitch, we're going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have both stitches on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook. So that creates basically 2 stitches joined into one. We have 1 leg in this point of our hexagon, 1 leg in the next point over. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and for the next stitch, we want to create a double crochet 2 together. And we're going to yarn over and we're going to work back into the same chain space that we just worked the second half of the previous stitch into. We want to insert our hook in that same spot, pull up a loop and yarn over and pull through 2, but that's where we want to stop. We're making a double crochet stitch, but we're only making the first portion of it. Normally we would yarn over and pull through 2 again for the rest of the double crochet, but we just want to make that first half of the stitch. Now we want to make another partial double crochet, and now we want to jump to the next point on our hexagon, so the next chain space over, and we want to insert our hook there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 only, and that creates another partial double crochet stitch. Now we can yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook to join those 2 stitches together into one at the top. So we have one leg in one chain space, one leg in the other, and the top of the stitch is joined as one. Now chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a pretty big chain space we'll work into on the next round, and we're going to repeat what we just did. So yarn over, insert your hook in the same spot that we just worked into, make a partial double crochet stitch, so just pull through 2, then yarn over and go into the next chain space, so the next point on our hexagon, and make a partial double crochet stitch. And now we have 2 partial double crochet stitches, one worked into this chain space and one worked into this next one. Yarn over, pull through all loops, and now we've joined those stitches together. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, into the same chain space, make the first half of our double crochet 2 together. If you need to double check, it's right there where the bottom of this stitch is. That's where we go into first. Right there, and then we work the next partial double crochet into the next chain space over. Like that. And then we yarn over and pull through all loops to join. We need to do that 2 more times because you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our little star points created, and we need 6 total. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make a partial double crochet in the same spot, and then a partial double crochet in the next chain space over, yarn over, pull through all, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do that one more time where we work the first part of our double crochet 2 together into that same chain space. And now we're going to work into the next chain space, and you'll see that first stitch is coming out of it. So we're ending at the same place we started with our last partial double crochet stitch. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all loops to create that double crochet 2 together. We need to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to create that last chain space, and now we slip stitch into the first stitch to the top of the first stitch to close that round. So right in here, we're going to insert our hook and do a slip stitch there to secure the round. So this completes the first 2 rounds of the snowflake. This is the center we'll have for all 3 of these designs. You can see we've created a little star here, a 6-pointed star, and we have 6 chain spaces all around that we'll be working into on the following rounds. Okay, we're ready to do round 3. So round 3 starts here. We have just slip stitched into the top of this first double crochet 2 together. We're going to just chain 1 so we can get our yarn up to the level that we need it to start stitching. Then we're going to do a single crochet into this chain space, then 2 half double crochets, that's what these are symbols for, then a double crochet, then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 for the corner, and then back into the same chain space we're going to do a double crochet, 2 half double crochets, and a single crochet. And that's it, and that's the pattern we're going to repeat all around. So into the next chain space, again, we do single crochet, 2 half double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, half double crochet, 2 of them, and single crochet. And then we continue that all the way around until we have done this same pattern of stitches into all 6 chain spaces. Then we will slip stitch back into that first single crochet to close the round. I'll of course demo that now. I just want you to be able to see what the plan is. Okay, to start round 3, we need to make a single chain, so just one chain here. And then we're going to make a single crochet into this chain space. And I like to, after I create that first stitch, hold onto the chain and push that stitch over so that it comes all the way to the edge. Then I'm going to make 2 half double crochets. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 3 loops. And we're going to do that one more time, half double crochet, so that we have single crochet, half double, and then we're going to make a regular double crochet into that chain space. Oops, there we go. And then we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3 for the corner. And then you can kind of shift your stitches over if you need to, so they're filling up about half of the chain space. And then we're going to do the same stitches in reverse order. So we're going to do 1 double crochet into the chain space, 2 half double crochets into the chain space, 1 and 2, and then 1 single crochet into the same chain space. Okay, so that's it for the pattern that goes into each of the chain spaces all the way around. I'm going to demo that one more time. So into the next chain space, we make 1 single crochet, snug it down, 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2, 1 double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 double crochet, make your stitches kind of even here, there we go, 2 half double crochet, 1 and 2, those can be a little tricky, and then 1 single crochet. And we're going to do that same pattern here into each of the other chain spaces until we have 6 total. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You finish up yours as well, and I'll meet you back over here at the end of the round. Okay, we've finished all of our little petals here, and we have done the last single crochet into the chain space there. And all we need to do now is to slip stitch into the first stitch of this round. So we're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that we created. So just insert your hook into the top of that stitch and slip stitch. There we go. Now we're ready to start round 4. Okay, we just finished up round 3. Now we're ready to do round 4. So we ended round 3 slip stitching into the single crochet, And then we're going to want to do a slip stitch into the next stitch over into the half double crochet. Then we will do a single crochet into the next, another single crochet into the next stitch. Then we're going to create a picot here, but this picot does differ a little bit from the ones that I've done in the other snowflakes. So if you've already done this snowflake, you know that we create the picot by chaining 3 and then joining back into the single crochet here. But for this one, we want a little bit more of a pointy picot. So we're going to actually slip stitch to close the picot back into the chain. So I'll show you how to do that when we get there, but I just wanted to let you know it's not the same as the one we used on Snowflake A. It's just a little bit different to get a pointier look here. All right, so we'll create that picot here where we chain 3 and then slip stitch into the first chain. Then we're going to do 2 single crochets into this corner chain space here. Then we're going to chain 2 to create a corner. Then 2 more single crochets into this corner chain space. Create another pointy picot here. And then a single crochet into the next 2 stitches, a slip stitch into the third stitch, and then a slip stitch between these 2 stitches. Then we're going to repeat that all the way around until we've completed our snowflake. Okay, I'll go ahead and show how to do that now. Okay, now we're ready to start round 4, and this is the final round of this snowflake. All right, we're going to do a slip stitch into the first of those 2 half double crochets. Then we're going to make a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So single crochet there and single crochet there. And now we're ready to work our first of our pointy picots. So they're a little bit different from a normal picot. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to insert our hook not into the single crochet stitch, but into the chain. So the first chain of those chain 3 that we made is where we're going to insert our hook and slip stitch. And kind of grab the little point there so you can help yourself pull that yarn through. And that makes a picot that's kind of a pointier one instead of a round bump. Now we're going to make 2 single crochet into the corner chain space here. Oops. 1 and 2. And we're going to just chain 2 here. We're not doing a pointy picot at the corner. We're just doing a chain 2. 1 and 2. And then we're going to make 2 more single crochet into that corner chain space. 1 and 2. And kind of move your stitches around so that they're evenly spaced. Now we're going to do another of the pointy picots. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to insert our hook into the first of those 3 chains, just into the forward side loop there, and slip stitch. All right, that creates our little pointy picot. And now we can do 2 single crochets, 1 into each of the next stitches. 1 and 2. And then we're going to just slip stitch into this third stitch here. And then we're going to slip stitch between these 2 single crochets that we made in the previous round. So right between them, we're going to insert our hook and slip stitch into the corner. And that is the pattern that we'll be making all the way around. I will demo that one more time. So we have 3 stitches here, 1, 2, 3. We want to slip stitch into the first one here. We're kind of skipping the single crochet that we made, and we're working into that first half double crochet with a slip stitch. And that second half double crochet gets a single crochet into it. And then this double crochet stitch gets a single crochet. Now it's time to make a pointy picot. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then insert your hook into the first of those 3 chains and slip stitch for a pointy picot. All right, now make 2 single crochets into the corner chain space, 1 and 2, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 more single crochets into the corner chain space, and don't be afraid to shift your stitches over to get them to be spaced evenly. Now we make a second pointy picot, so we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch into the first chain like that, and then work a single crochet into the next 2 stitches and a slip stitch into the third. So single crochet, and then slip stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch into this corner spot in between the 2 single crochet. So get your hook into the corner there and slip stitch, just like that. All right, we're going to work that same pattern all the way around on the other 4 little petals here, and then I'll meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, I'm just finishing up the round. I'm doing my last single crochet into the last petal. I'm doing a slip stitch into that next stitch. And to finish the round, we're just gonna do that slip stitch into that corner spot here. So I'm gonna put my hook right in the corner and slip stitch there. And then we're gonna remove the loop from the hook and we're going to cut the yarn, but we're gonna leave kind of a longer tail because we need to weave in, and part of our weaving in, we're going to go around this part of the snowflake to kind of give it a little bit of a tighter, cleaner look. So leave enough of a tail that it can go around maybe a couple times. So cut our yarn, and then we're gonna thread it onto a tapestry needle. It is blunt and it has a big enough eye for a piece of yarn. This is pretty crucial to have if you're a crocheter. Oops, I forgot to pull this loop through. So actually pull this loop through out of our last little slip stitch there. Then we thread the yarn onto our tapestry needle. Okay, and now we're going to finish this off and weave in our ends in such a way that we clean up the look of our snowflake. So you see how this last little slip stitch is a little loose. We want to insert our needle here to just tack that down like so. So now that is secure. And then we want to flip over our work to the other side. And we're going to want to go through this little channel of stitches. So we want to work our yarn over to this spot and then put it through this section. So my yarn's coming out of here. Maybe I go through this stitch to just kind of secure that down. And now I can go through these stitches here. And I want to go through all of the bottoms of these stitches along this chain space that we worked into. And then we want not a super tight, we don't want to cinch this, but we do want a decent tension so that we're kind of tightening up this little area. And then we're going to do the same thing all along into each of these chain spaces into the bottoms of our stitches. We're just threading that yarn through with our needle and pulling our yarn taut, but not cinching, just tight enough to improve the tension there. And then we'll go through here And we'll work all the way around, and you can already see that's improving the shape of our snowflake. It's making it less wonky, it's making it more flat and more tight. So I'm going to work through all these little stitches. You just go one to the next, and then I'll meet you back in one moment. Okay, I've worked all the way around and then overlapped a little bit with that first chain space area, and I'm ready to now cut my yarn. You don't need to tie any knots or anything. This isn't going to come unraveled. So that just improves the look of our snowflake a bit. It makes it nice and flat and the center nice and tidy. And the only thing left is to weave in this end here. So we're going to thread that on the tapestry needle again. And we're going to work in a clockwise direction. You can see that this yarn is, if you pull it, it pulls this stitch. So it's coming out of this stitch. So we don't want to go counterclockwise or we'll actually undo our magic ring. So we want to keep going in the same direction. So go into the stitch that is not connected to our yarn and go through the bottom of those stitches. And we're just going to reinforce our magic ring a little bit by going around and around, maybe 2 times through these stitches. And then we can go ahead and cut our yarn there as well. And we're finished now with our little snowflake. Now, one thing you could do is you could either wet block or steam block this to make it a little bit flatter and a little bit nicer shaped. I kind of just finish them and call it a day and think they're really cute how they are. But of course, yeah, you can always improve the shape with blocking. So this is Snowflake C for my trio of snowflakes. I will be releasing 3 videos for and 1 pattern for. So if you do get the pattern, you get the directions and instructions for all 3, and it includes step-by-step instructions, written pattern, pattern chart, and photos of each step. Or of course, you can always refer back to these videos as many times as you need. I hope you try out this crochet snowflake. If you do, I would love to see your version. So if you post it to Instagram, tag me at Pattern and Craft. And also don't forget to check the description for links to my pattern shop and any discount codes that I usually have a 20% off code down there. You can also support the channel by liking the video and subscribing and leaving a comment or sharing the video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good winter, a good holiday, and happy crafting.